Ba-da-da-dum, ba-da-da-dum. Thank you, Joel Felsenstein, Rockstar X, for that fantastic intro outro video. I appreciate that very much. I talk about it every single show because so many people have commented, sent me messages about that. It's absolutely fantastic. Thank you for being one of our sponsors. So I've got a row of sponsors here. We're going to talk about real quick Rockstar X, different, not less. The autistic and neurodiverse communities. That's what Joel Felsenstein and his crew are talking about and really doing some great work out of the UK. I also want to talk about the Hounds of Business Community, Mike Ashebrainer, Isabel Fortin, Christine Bell, and all the other fantastic members. Thank you so much for all of your support, the shout outs, the showing up for events, and everything else that goes on. It is a great community of awesome people. And then Lazarus Learning, one of the OG8. If you don't know what the OG8 is, you have not been paying attention, my friend. The OG8, the original 8 partners that we have over 80 now. The original 8 partners we had back in 2022 with our first website. We're on our third transition, I should say, of our website. And one of the 8 original partners, Michelle Arntz, thank you so much. Lazarus Learning is all about diagnosing and treating those leadership and workforce problems. So reach out to her today. Circle of Friends Club, you're about to meet here in a minute. You're about to meet the man, the myth, and the legend behind the Circle of Friends Club, Chason Wilson. But we would like to give a big shout out to the Circle of Friends Club, amazing group of people doing some amazing work. And we're going to find out more about him and everyone else later. And my last but not least, I got to put this up today. This is my buddy. Get stuck in. I got to get rid of that. Kim Brady. Let me get this straight. This is Lessons from the Pitch to Build Your Business. My copy is all beat up, and she is signed here in the front. But I got to tell you, I love this lady. She is a fantastic human being. Whether you buy the book, go to her website. I have her website down here. You use her as a business coach. You hire her for consulting. Whatever you do, get to know Kimberly Brady, because you're not going to meet a finer human being. Just outstanding. Great to make a shout out for her and the book. Just can't say enough about the messages inside this, the lessons, and the stories are inspirational. It's fantastic. So without any further ado, I'm going to take this off the screen here, and we're bringing up, yes, the man, the myth, the legend, Chason Wilson, ladies and gentlemen, in the house. Give it up. Woo. Just before Chason came on, I'm still searching for that MP3 cheering that's even better than this one. I can't find it. This is the best one I can find so far. So
it's awesome.
It's not bad. It's not bad. But I'm in that pursuit of better. Oh my goodness. So great to have you on the show today, man. I love that background. I love that beautiful background. Tell me that that's part of Colombia. And I'm just like, Jody's going to tell me she wants to move there. I'm telling her.
I mean, it is, man. It's one of the most beautiful landscapes that I've ever seen here in Colombia. I think that's one of the draws for everybody that comes here to visit.
I tell you, in February, I am going to Nicaragua to support Peter Schaller with the Outlier Project and do some work with Rayo del Sol, Nicaragua. Love him. I love his mission. And I'm sitting here doing some Duolingo practicing, and my wife is making fun of me going, you know what? Your Spanish really needs some work. And I know it. I know it. Donde está el baño? I mean, I've got some work to do. Other than asking for where the bathroom is, I'm in some sad shape. But
you know what, man? My wife and I were talking about you, and I told her about your trip. So she said she's open to, any need that you have for your Spanish. She'll help you.
All right. All right. We'll have to talk about this after the show.
Sounds good.
Okay. So let's talk about today. I told you that when I was first talking about oncology and we were looking up some of the stats, I was blown away to see that over 2 million people are estimated are going to have had or going to be diagnosed with some form of cancer in 2024. 2 million plus people.
Right.
Out of those, over 600,000 are expected not to make it. So the subject and everything that circles around it and how it impacts the individual with it and the families surrounding it is huge. It's absolutely huge. So
Yes.
let's talk a little bit about, before we completely dive in, let's talk a little bit about Circle of Friends Club, Freedom Fight Expo, and then what
Okay.
this event is all about.
Great. So, I wanted to share a story about how Circle of Friends Club actually started and why it is that I'm so passionate about the expo that we put on every month for different causes. This particular one coming up in August happens to be for oncology mindfulness. This is actually the idea of Rochelle Prosser, our friend. She's had, several instances of experience with her own family. Her daughter has cancer. Her husband had it and went into remission. And her grandmother actually died of cancer. So she has a lot of experience with that, which made her very, very passionate about what she does right now.
Yeah.
So, she spoke at our Freedom Fight Expo in March. And afterwards, she said, Jason, we should do an event for cancer. And I said, that is such a great idea. But she wanted to focus on the mindfulness part of cancer, which would actually help people to be healed as well. My own personal story is that my ex-wife had breast cancer. And Chason, when we were dating, I had no knowledge about this. But when I got here to Columbia, she said one day, this was after 2 weeks of being married, she said, I have something to tell you. I said, okay, what is that? And she said, I have cancer. And I don't think, Chason, there could have been anything that would have prepared me for that situation. But I know in my heart and my spirit that God uses situations like that to prepare you to be of help to other people. And so for that reason, I was really, really all about the idea of doing this event in August with Rochelle, and great speakers as well in this lineup. A couple of the hounds are involved as well. Dr. New. I'm not going to
Dr.
name
New.
everybody, but I'm really, really excited about it.
Very cool. And I'll flip up the banner at the very end, but what are the dates that this is going on?
Sure. So this is August the 9th, 10th, and 11th. We're going to feature 5 speakers on the Friday, which is the 9th, and another 5 speakers on Saturday, which is the 10th. And
Okay.
we're going to prayer service on the 11th.
I'm just going to type this into the chat.
Okay.
Perfect. If I could spell. Be perfect if I could spell. August 9th through the 11th, Freedom Fight
That's
Expo.
correct.
Perfect. All right. Cool. We got that in. Hello, Jody. Good to see
Hey, Jody.
you. Jody is thankful that your wife is going to help me with Spanish because she's
Awesome.
like, dude, you got to do something different. So tell us, I mean, I know you're excited about this in August, and I know you took a little bit of a break just to kind of restructure everything. And
Right.
are Kelly and Sarah going to be with you on this one?
Sarah, yes, but Kelly is involved in a new project herself, Wheelchairs for Warriors. I'm really,
Yes,
really happy for her and that
absolutely.
organization. Yeah, absolutely.
She is. I was watching her show with Christy earlier today, and yeah, it's very moving. But it's awesome. She was just at the DoD Warrior Games, and then Yeah, I love the fact that she's doing some amazing things with Wheelchairs for Warriors. What a great organization. So that's
Absolutely.
fantastic to see that. And it's great to see her thriving. So that's awesome. Yeah, all right. So let's dive in, my brother. Tell me more about the event. Tell me more about your story, and for anyone listening, what is going on with Circle of Friends Club? I love the website. I love what you've done. It
Thank
looks
you.
absolutely amazing. I know you spent a ton of time on this, and I also have later on here. I'll pop up how people can get in touch with you through LinkedIn, but we can
Yes.
name some other ways as well. But all right, tell us all about you, brother.
Sure. So, Circle of Friends Club, we just updated the website, as you just mentioned. It's a global vision. And the idea is that no matter where you are in the world, we want to help therapists, coaches, and other mental wellness practitioners to organize events for PTSD, depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideation. Those are the things that I'm really, really passionate about, from the experience with my own family, as well as other people that have been affected by these, mental health issues that are caused, in my view, uh, anybody that's going through this, it's a mental health issue, yes, but it's also a spiritual issue. Many people don't talk about this. God is not part of this conversation usually, but I want to make this part of the conversation because I believe that your belief or your faith can help you to be healed of any kind of mental health situation. So,
Yeah,
Circle of Friends Club actually began in 2011, and I've only told this story to a handful of people, and I'm so glad to be on your show, Chason, and to have the opportunity to talk about this. The supernatural exists, and the spirit realm exists. uh, I was basically, my eyes were opened up to this in a dream. And let me tell you what happened. That particular year, I hadn't spoken to my mom in about a year and a half, and she was going through something that I had no idea of at the time. I knew that she had a boyfriend after she got divorced from my dad, and this particular gentleman was from Haiti. Now, I don't have anything against Haitians, but this particular gentleman was from Haiti, and he was into witchcraft and was performing black magic on my mom. I knew nothing about witchcraft until I was actually in this situation with my mom. And so I decided to call her up, and she answered the phone, and she was like, "Jason, I'm not doing well at all." She couldn't really go into detail what was happening because he was there in the room. So I hung up the phone after our conversation, and I asked God to show me in a dream what was happening. So, have you had a lucid dream?
me,
Yes.
uh, no. But I will tell you this because my grandparents were missionaries, and my grandfather had told me, as a pastor and a missionary, he told me a lot of different stories at things that you can't explain. Um, and so, as a person that I believe in God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit, and I believe
Yeah.
that we're guided by our spirituality, our souls. People talk about it in a lot of different ways. And
Right.
they may believe, whether they believe in Jesus Christ or they believe in a higher power of some kind. Most people have some sort of spirituality or soul or something that they refer to. And in my case, I just have to, as a Christian, I believe that for us, for me and you and others that believe, for anybody, that is the Holy Spirit talking to us. But I know that we are guided in some shape, form, or fashion. But I have not had dreams like that. Most of the time, I can't remember my dreams.
Yeah.
So
Which leads me to my next point, is that, I tell everybody that who can't remember their dreams, ask God to help you remember, because the thing is that your spirit actually leaves your body every single night, Jason, and goes to the spiritual dimension. And if you can't remember what's happening, you need to know what's going on because you're being influenced in that dimension. And does the spirit realm have any uh, result on your waking life and what you experience in this physical realm? Absolutely. So it's really really important that you know what's going on. And in these particular dreams that people have, I help people to interpret
Oh,
and
wow.
and help them out with the spiritual weapons that they can use in order to make those kinds of dreams stop. That's influencing them to be depressed, to be anxious, to be uh, involved in situations where they're having suicidal ideation or they have experiences with PTSD. So that I know that that kind of dream has an effect on your life. So getting
Sure.
back to my dream, I went to bed and I was in a lucid dream and I see myself at the top of this building in a city downtown. I wasn't sure exactly where this was, but I looked up at the sky and it was daytime. And I see this huge bus drop from the sky and hit the ground. So I go down to the street level of the building and I see the bus there. And have you ever been to Six Flags or a water ride?
Yeah,
And they have,
sure.
yeah, they have this turquoise blue water on the ride.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I open up the door to the bus and all of this blue water gushes out. And I'm looking inside the bus and there's a bunch of people in there and they're all dead. But I go to the back of the bus and my mom is there and she's alive. So I pull her out of the bus and then I wake up. And I said, "Dear Lord, I don't know what's going on in Atlanta, but I need to get on the flight right now and go home and see what's going on with my mom." So I book a flight and I get home 3, 4 days later. And the first red flag I got was the boyfriend picked me up at the airport in my mother's car. So that was red flag number one. Number two, I get to her house and chasing from here all the way around to here, her hair is completely fallen out from all the stress that she's dealing with this guy. So a couple of weeks go by and we're having a conversation and we're looking at this TV show and the TV show is Snapped. I don't know if you've ever heard of this TV show. Never?
No, no,
Oh,
sorry.
okay. So let me tell you about this TV show called Snapped. The premise is that either the husband or the wife finds out that the mate is cheating on them, and in order to basically kill them, they come up with this elaborate plan of what they're going to do. And at the end of the story, of course, their mate is killed. So in this particular episode, my mother tells me about, this woman finds out that her husband is cheating, and he drinks a cup of antifreeze with Coke. He gets sick, goes to the emergency room, and not even 24 hours later, he's dead. And so after she tells me this story, she says, "Jason, do you see this cup on my nightstand?" I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Okay, well, do you know what's in it?" I said, "No." I said, "This thing has been sitting here for like 2 or 3 weeks." And she said, "Well, take the lid off and take a look inside." And I said, "Mom, what is this?" And she said, "Well, if you hadn't gotten on the flight when you did, I would have drank this and I would be dead right now." And she said, "This is antifreeze with Coke." You know what the color was of this liquid in the cup?
From
Turquoise blue.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, after that
Wow.
experience, yeah, after that experience with that dream, I said, I have to find out what's going on in the spirit realm and dreams, because obviously God is talking to us in that particular realm every single night, but we're not aware of it in a lot of cases. So, the dead people inside the bus in my dream were suicide victims.
Hmm.
And, the whole thing about being in that realm and being influenced is that, people are under spiritual warfare. They have no idea what to do about spiritual warfare. But everybody has had a nightmare at some point.
Sure.
And there's a difference between a nightmare and a night terror. Now, in a night terror, you're completely paralyzed. And, it's been clinically termed or coined as sleep paralysis. So in that case, you can't move, you can't talk. If you're trying to fight that spirit, that's attacking you, there's nothing that you can do about it. But there are weapons that you can use. If you speak the name of Jesus, and that's the only thing that you can do during that time, you can wake up out of that dream. But if you don't know that, you can potentially lose your life in that dream.
Wow.
Yeah. So any kind of spiritual warfare that has to do in a dream or whatever can have an effect on whether or not you're depressed and you have all of these other mental health issues. And it's impossible to fight a spiritual problem or issue with a physical solution like taking medication. The medication, in a lot of cases, has you so drugged up during your sleep that you can potentially be a victim in your sleep, being attacked in a dream like that.
I hadn't thought about it that way,
Yeah.
but then again, like you said, I mean, I don't remember most of my dreams. I do find that sometimes there are people that I have never seen before in my life. Like I don't recognize them. I have no idea who they are. And yet somehow I see their faces clear as day in
Uh-huh.
my dream. And I'm like, they're actively a part of my dream. And I'm going, I don't know who this person is. But
Yeah.
in the dream, I know them as whoever. Like I know them as a friend. I
Right.
know them as a colleague. I know them as a business partner. They that is like that makes sense, but yeah, I don't know who they are. Like it doesn't make sense to me. But
Right.
I do
Well,
believe, I do believe that we're given messages and signs and certainly that it's not beyond, no matter what you believe. I believe there are things that tell us, you know, which way we should go and things that we should do and how to protect ourselves. So I,
yeah.
I think it's an interesting way to take a look at it. And how weird is that, man, you just so happen to get on a plane and all of that was going, that's just crazy. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's no accident. And, God uses dreams, though, to give you warnings like that, to give you prophetic happenings that happen in your future. He can give you witty inventions, ideas, concepts in your dream. As a matter of fact, Thomas Edison got the idea of the light bulb in a dream. So, biblically, there's been a lot of situations where he gave people messages in dreams, and those things actually came true. In a couple of cases, like with Joseph, he was able to give the king of Egypt the interpretation of his dream, and as a result of that, he was basically given control of all the financial, economic status of Egypt at the time. So God could give you insight into situations like that, which can save other people's lives, give you insight, witty inventions, and even tell you what your purpose is, uh, that He wants you to use in order to be a blessing to other people.
so now, and then this ties in with your new title and what you're going to be doing. So talk about that and how that applies to what you're doing now with Circle of Friends Club and
Sure.
Freedom Fight.
Yeah. So this actually started with my dream interpretation work here in Columbia. I was an ESL teacher at a lot of companies here in Columbia, Chason. I actually started with that in 2004. And in 2004, I had a dream with the archangel Raphael. And the interesting thing about that, Chasen, is that the only two archangels mentioned in the Bible are Michael and Gabriel. But there's a series of books called the apocryphal books that were actually taken out of the Bible by the Catholic Church. And in one of those books called Tobit, the archangel Raphael was mentioned in that book. So I found out from a dream that I had that Raphael is actually the angel in charge of healing, and also he's concerned for the traveler. Uh, in my case, I left the United States and came here, so he's the archangel in charge of travelers that make a pilgrimage for the sake of God and being a blessing to people, which is my case. So I didn't know I was actually going to be used in that area to help people to interpret their dreams, but that's how God has used me in a lot of situations with students. Um, and just recently, I was thinking about coaching. I wasn't sure exactly whether I wanted to be just a life coach, which I'm certified to be as. But I've been led by several conversations that I've had with people, and I'll name one. Lonnie Ray. I had a conversation with her today, and she said, Jason, I wouldn't just name myself as a spiritual life coach because there's plenty of life coaches out there, but a spiritual dream coach. Now, that's something that's intriguing. It's unique. You don't hear about something like that every day. And just, the whole subject of that, people would have an interest in what is this about? So I'm going to basically specialize in that and help people in that particular area because I know it can save possibly your life or the lives of other people that you know.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So now with Freedom Fight Expo being part of or offshoot part of Circle of Friends Club, what are the plans that you have for future episodes past your oncology episode in August?
Well, we're going to have other episodes or expos planned for cancer, but we're also going to
Okay.
do other causes as well. But everything's surrounded about mental health. So there's a lady from an organization that specializes in PTSD. So possibly that's another event that we can specialize in when it comes to veterans. I had a conversation with a veteran 2, 3 months ago, and this guy to this day, he still has visions. Like if he's walking down the street, he'll have a vision of one of his friends that was killed in Vietnam in the war.
Oh,
And
wow.
I didn't really, yeah. And that's what a lot of these veterans still to this day are going through, suffering from having these kinds of visions, and they don't know what causes them, but it's trauma. So these kinds of demonic spirits that I've been talking about, they use trauma as a door, and there's several other doors that these demonic spirits use in order to attack people. Trauma is one of them. Resentment, unforgiveness, abuse. In the cases of children, it doesn't necessarily have to be physical abuse that they go through, but verbal abuse. Sometimes the verbal abuse is 10 times worse than physical abuse.
Yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, and when it comes to the access to a cell phone for a child that's 9 years old, and now there's staggering statistics of children that are being affected by mental health issues and suicidal ideation from 9 years old to 16 years old. Chason, I never heard of anything like this happening when I was that age. Did you?
Well, yeah, I was part of that, so I'm part of that group of people that, because of the things that happened with my real mom and my stepmothers, yeah, so I lived through physical and mental abuse
Mm,
as a kid. And yeah, by the time I was in high school, I was a pretty messed up kid. But you wouldn't know it from the outside
yeah,
because, I mean, I was in all honors classes and president of this club and vice president of that club and the choral group and played in the band and played sports.
right.
But I was a wreck inside and, started taking drugs, and that led to other things. So, yeah, I could see how it's getting younger and younger
Right.
because when we were kids, and I'm a little bit older than you, but when we were kids, there weren't keyboard warriors.
Yeah.
Now it's easy for people to be keyboard warriors and strike out at others using cell phones, using your pads, using your laptops. It's
Right.
easy to judge other people, to tear other people down, to be abusive, and when you are struggling yourself and you're you're not having to face someone and say stuff. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have, all of these gadgets and stuff where people can communicate in that fashion. So if you were going to go and make fun of somebody or say something, you were going to do it in person. You
That's
were
right.
good, so that could lead to a couple of different things. And that, so not everybody was always so bold as they are now. We have a lot of people that decide to use technology in a destructive way when
Yes.
that's really not how it was built. It's not the mindset, in my opinion, is that it could be used for information, it can be used to help people, it can be used to do great things. But
Yeah.
we have to be intentional about that use.
That's absolutely right. And I'm glad you brought up this subject because I watched a documentary on Steve Jobs. And one of the ladies that was interviewed on that show, she said that the whole marketing plan for Steve Jobs and Apple was that they convinced people that this device, this phone or computer, was you. And as a result of that, it's not only kids that have lost their identity because of this; it's also adults too.
Yeah.
So if you identify yourself as this device, or you're being identified from somebody like a YouTuber that's making videos or even video games chasing that these children have access to, you're being influenced in a lot of ways to think a certain way. And these ways are not always godly. They're coming from, again, the demonic realm. And those kinds of thoughts telling these kids that you're not enough, you'll never make it, nobody loves you. I mean, these are thoughts that are not coming from the children, which they think they do, but these kids are being tormented 24 hours a day by these phones.
Yeah.
And the parents have a responsibility, though. They should be more in touch with their children to find out what these kids are being exposed to with these phones. But the parents don't have that kind of relationship with the kids now, which is a
Well, the
huge problem.
social, I mean, I think there's a lot of social pressure. Kids are getting them younger and younger and younger. And I remember when my youngest daughter, who's getting ready to turn 29,
Uh-huh.
I remember when Keely asked for a cell phone, and I'm having this conversation with her mom, um, and, and who is my ex. I've been married to Jody for 25 years, but my ex and I have a great relationship because of Jody and because of how wonderful that is.
Yes.
And I remember having the conversation with her about Keely getting a cell phone. And the first one that we got Keely was an emergency only phone. It was one that she could literally make an emergency call or text her mom to say, I'm going to be X, Y, and Z. But
Uh-huh.
that was, that's where we were. But everybody, I mean, there was this social pressure that was put on the parents and on the kids themselves that you're unworthy, you're not cool, you
Yeah.
are, X, Y, and Z if you don't have these gadgets and devices and these things. And
Right.
I think that's happening even more and more and more as we get. If you don't have the latest and greatest in tech, in clothing, in anything, then you're just not cool.
Yep.
And that's how social pressure and everything else starts to wind down on kids. I think far worse than when we were growing up. I think
Yeah.
and it's up to parents to step in, parents and the having a great, it starts at home, but having a great school system that's very aware and in touch with the parents and is being very transparent, and working with parents. That's also another great thing. We have a lot of great educators.
Yes.
So anyway, that's, yeah, it's a horrible, horrible thing when kids go through this even more so. So it's something that is certainly concerning. And
Absolutely.
as we start to get towards the end, I want to make sure that you have a chance to get everybody aware of how to get in touch with you. I'm going to put your LinkedIn up here, but also any information you want to give out. I'll also shine a light again on the dates for Freedom Fight Expo, which is the 9th through the 11th, but I'll show this again.
Sure.
But let anybody in the audience that's joining us, people that join late, thank you, Miguel. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Jody. Thank you, Dr. New. Anyone else that we don't see, let us know if there's any questions that you might have while we still have Chason on. But Chason, anything else you want to share with the audience?
Sure. So you can go to circleoffriendsclub.com to sign up for the event on August the 9th, 10th, and 11th. You can also go to our Circle of Friends Club page on LinkedIn and sign up there as well. So again, the Freedom Fight Expo will be an online event every month after August. We're going to be organizing this for different causes. If you see this video and you're in the mental health field, let us know and we can help you to organize your event. We're going to be able to get sponsors for these events here on out. So it's going to be a great thing. I'm going to be talking to Russ Hedge, another hound. So, he's actually a cancer survivor. He's going to be speaking at our event as well in August. I'm looking forward to that.
Very good.
Yeah, I've been blessed to have phenomenal speakers speak at Freedom Fight Expo.
Yeah,
So
it's been fantastic.
Yeah, so I'm
You've had a
excited.
lot of great people there. That's been absolutely fantastic to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
It has been wonderful. All right. So I'm going to put this back up one last time. We get this up here. And Chason, thank you so much for sharing a little bit more about your story, telling people about what you're doing with Freedom Fight Expo,
Sure.
and also being a partner and sharing what you're doing with Circle of Friends Club. It's been great to have you on here again, man. I love having you on. We're going to give it up one more time. Chason Wilson in the house. Oh man, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here.
Jason.
Thanks for all you do, and I look forward to having you on again soon.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
All right.
Take care.
Take care, everybody.